Welcome to the Mirage Overlay System training video. We'll take you through the Mirage process step by step and put you on the way to some pretty amazing results. Step 1 is the very important preparation of the surface. Edge around the whole pool surface with the edger and a weed eater. Next, pressure wash the entire deck. Cracks in the old concrete are repaired by first using a 4-inch die grinder with a crack chaser blade to open or clear all the cracks. Now we're going to put 2 coats of primer on these cracks. The primer mix is 3.5 gallons of water to the bucket of primer. Use a 1/2-inch drill with a cone mixer for mixing. Once that first coat is dry, go ahead, brush on the second coat. The patch leveling material is prepared by adding 1.5 to 2 gallons of water, then mixing with a 1/2-inch drill and cone mixer. First, fill the cracks. Then place the fiber mesh tape down. Cut the tape to the size of the crack. When it's in place, apply a skim coat over the tape. Your patch leveling material could now be used to level any areas that need it. Use wood stakes or nails to mark where your control cuts will go in the new surface. Use a measuring tape and a chalk line to designate the surface borders. The coping on the pool is covered first by the blue tape. Then the forming tape is put down. This tape acts like a form for the depth of the new surface. Using the chalk lines, form the borders out with more of the form tape. Next, the borders are primed, and again with 2 coats of primer. We use a roller, then a paintbrush to get up close to the forming tape. Now's the time to mix the Redeck texture material. Fill your measuring device with water to the marked level line. Add the water and mix as you go with the 1/2-inch drill and cone mixer. You'll want to get a consistency that looks like this. Pour the material inside the border area. Then place the tool on the foam tape, making sure that you get the right level. When the Redeck material is ready to stamp, spray down the surface with the pigment release. Spray down the stamps as well. Now keep in mind, this is going to be your highlighting color. Spray on as much as you want. You'll make everything even when you wash it off the next day. Give the pump sprayer a good shake frequently. For stamping, place the stamp and use light hand pressure. Rotate the stamp a 1/4 turn each time. This will give you a variance in the appearance of your design. When the borders are stamped, measure, then use the roller tool for joint impressions. And before you leave for the day, be sure and pull up all the tape. Pool cover grommets are removed, wrapped with tape, then partially re-threaded back in place. Here on day 2, we're going to pour and stamp the deck insert area. But to get ready, we first need to protect the new borders. Start by putting the blue tape down on both the outside and the inside edge of the border. By walking on it, you can make sure it's firmly in place. The protective contractor paper is cut to the size of your border. For example, if you have an 8-inch border, you'd cut the paper to a width of 6 inches. Cover the border with the contractor paper and tape it in place with continuous lines of blue tape on both edges. Again, walk on it to make sure it's down tight. Mix up some more primer and then roll it on with 2 liberal coats. Use a paintbrush to get close to the edge with the border. For mixing the Redeck texture material, use the same method. And get a consistency like this. Once you have the buckets mixed, pour in the inserts, using the gauge rake to get the depth of 3/8 of an inch. Then use the magic trowel to smooth out the material. Don't overwork the material. Remember, you're going to be stamping it. Next, spray on the pigment release. Spray the stamps as well. Use the borders as your walkway for placing the stamping tools. The tapper or foot pressure will give you an even texture. You can see how they overlay the stamps for an even design. Before you leave the job site, pull up all the blue tape and the protective paper. Here the tape is removed from the pull cover grommet inserts. Then the inserts are threaded back in place, flush with the new surface. Today we'll make the cut between the border and the inserts. We first use the 7-inch die grinder, then follow with the 4-inch V blade to widen the cut and give the joint a clean look. Measure, then put down a chalk line for the control cuts. Use the 7-inch die grinder for the control cuts. When the cuts are complete, sweep the concrete dust off the surface, then wash off excess dust and dirt to make sure there are no contaminants left. Any small stress cracks in the surface are easily attended to by mixing a small amount of the texture material with water, creating a slurry that's wiped on with a rag. Then just use a dry cloth to wipe it down. Once you've made all the cuts and all the dust is off the surface, now is the time to highlight the pool deck. Pour muriatic acid into an empty bucket first, 1 part acid to 9 parts water. Use the garden hose to wet down the entire surface. Have a second person with the hose ready to spray the surface so the acid doesn't take off too much of the highlighting color. Dip the acid brush in the bucket, then using a circular motion, take off as much color as you want. Make sure that second person with the hose sprays off the surface right behind you. Do this to the entire pad until you get the color that you want. As soon as the surface is dry, you can bring it all to life with either the Redeck water-based sealer or the solvent sealer. 2 coats of sealer brings dramatic results. Before the second coat of sealer dries, put down the anti-skid material, and you've got a beautiful deck that's slip-free. Then get ready to enjoy the customer reaction and satisfaction. You've just transformed their old tired concrete pool deck into something beautiful. The results say it all, and customer word-of-mouth referrals are a great way to build your business with the Mirage overlay system.